then you're contributing to that. You're actively killing animals while driving cars. Now, while I understand his utility point, but if your goal is to reduce the amount of animal suffering and exploitation, then your well-being should not matter, is the point that I'm trying to get at. Your goal is reducing animal deaths as much as possible, which means that you have a moral obligation to do every single thing you can to reduce those animal deaths. As in, you should be giving up a lot, basically anything in regards to animals dying that you don't need. And you don't need a car to survive.
This is us just sharing and letting people learn about how each other feel about these topics. Welcome to the stage, Chase.
Hello!
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciated our conversation yesterday. It was fun. Maybe we can kind of address some of the things that have been brought up by your previous callers.
Someone said that vegans tend to kill animals more than regular consumers do. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so that's interesting. So I'm going to post some scientific sources here just to back up my claims, because I don't want people just trusting some random dude on the internet, 70 billion land animals are raised, fed, and killed every year across the world. That's 10 times the human population. 70 billion. The USDA reported that it takes 16 pounds of plants to make 1 pound of beef, because the farmer has to feed the cow every day for 18 months to get them up to slaughter weight. So that's a 16-to-1 ratio. If we stopped raising cows for beef and milk, then we would save 16 times as much food. All right. The university.
Wow, that's a shocking amount.
Yeah, and that was the USDA reporting that. The University of Oxford reported that raising animals takes up 75% of our farmland because we have to grow tons of crops to feed all those animals. 70% of the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest is for raising cattle to make beef. 70% of the deforestation. National Geographic reported that a vegan diet saves 600 gallons of water per person per day because we have to water the crops that are fed to the animals and give 70 billion animals water to drink. And then lastly, the United Nations reported that the greenhouse gas emissions coming from raising cattle is more than the entire transportation sector, which includes all cars, trucks, trains, planes, and ships. So again, 16 pounds of plants to make 1 pound of beef. So
those are some shocking numbers, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. So if instead we just ate those plants directly, or used the land that was used to grow those crops, to grow crops that are more like edible for humans instead of cows and stuff, so we grow potatoes, whatever, then we would free up a bunch of our farmland so that we could replenish it by growing more trees, planting trees, which helps sequester carbon emissions from cars and things like that, and yeah, just stop creating additional pollution and through raising cattle. And it's not just cattle; it's the other animals as well. But yeah.
Those are some very well detailed points and facts that you're throwing out to us, so I appreciate you coming and sharing that with us.
Yeah, and
I know it's not a big audience today, but
that's okay.
It's what I got.
Yeah, that's okay. And then 77% of soy is fed to livestock, right?
Okay, yeah.
And that's according to ourworldindata.com. And these are all these. None of the.
Is that you in your profile picture, real quick?
Yeah, it is. And I just wanted to say real quick,
I'm assuming you go on several protest walks, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Before I go into that, I just wanted to clarify that all the sources that I mentioned are not vegan groups or anything. You know what I mean? Like these are, unbiased, like government or health organizations. So anyways, yeah, that's me covered in fake blood with a megaphone leading a march. I've led marches where we had 1,000 vegan activists marching through San Francisco. It was a lot of fun. We go through the mall inside the food court, and it was really, really cool.
Wow, that sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think Wilting wants to come up, and I think they have some points that they want to share. So if you want to go ahead and talk to them, because I know that they're probably listening to you, and they probably have some points they want to share with you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I actually agree. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I'm guess I'm fairly with statistics, and if you can even see it logically, that feeding 78 billion land animals, it's going to use farm just feed it to the humans directly.
Yeah. And on that point, that addresses another point that somebody else had mentioned earlier of saying that that vegans kill more animals than meat eaters, but because of all the crop deaths. Like when we say crop deaths, we mean like animals who get killed in the harvesting of plant foods, right? So whether you're vegan or not vegan, you're eating, hopefully, you're eating vegetables and stuff. And so yes, it's true that insects are killed through pesticides, and small rodents can get caught up in the machines like tractors that are harvesting these plant foods, and that's a problem, right? That's sad and unfortunate, and we want to try to prevent that if we can. If we can't, then we have to do what we have to do in order to survive, and we have to eat plants in order to survive, but we don't have to eat animal products, right? And the thing is again that the meat eaters are killing more of those animals because the amount of plants that are grown to feed to the animals that you're eating far outweighs the amount of plants that I as a vegan am eating. Right? Again, 16-to-1 ratio of plants to beef. Okay, so 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 there's that, and then also like vegans realize that this is a problem, and we realize we're not perfect, but we're trying to minimize the amount of harm we cause, do the best we can, and restructure the system, the agricultural system, so that ideally no animals will be killed. So what we're talking about here is vertical farming. So vertical farming is an indoor, like a greenhouse, right? But it's like a skyscraper building going up into the sky instead of sideways, taking up a bunch of land, right? It goes up, and the plants are stacked on top of each other. And because this is a controlled environment indoors, there's no need for pesticides because bugs can't get inside to get to the plants, and neither can little rodents and stuff, right? So there's no animal deaths in the harvesting of these plant foods. This is already happening, but we want to spread it all across the world.
Chase,
yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, I need to interject for a second. Chase, I'm actually going to get you to take over this panel for a second. I'll be right back. I need to go take care of something. If you don't mind taking over.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know if you'll be able to actually bring people up.
I won't be able.
I'll send one of the admin a message to help you out, okay?
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I won't be able to pull people up, but I can talk until we get somebody in here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will definitely send somebody to help you out.
Okay, thanks. So like you were mentioning the Nirvana Fallacy, so I'll read that because I think it's interesting. The Nirvana Fallacy is the informal fallacy of comparing actual things with unrealistic, idealistic alternatives. It can also refer to the tendency to assume that there is a perfect solution to a particular problem. Otherwise known as the perfect solution fallacy. It's kind of similar to like an appeal to futility fallacy, where we say, well, you can't make everything perfect, so you might as well not even try. And it's like, well, we would make no social progress if that's the way we operated. So we realize again that we can't be perfect, but we can make drastic improvements, right? And somebody was mentioning earlier about, well, vegans drive cars and use phones and computers, so they're hypocrites because there's some degree of unintentional death or harm or exploitation to humans or animals in the production or usage of cars and phones and stuff. But I would argue that the comparable harms, and also like mostly the need thing, right? So we're talking about comparing driving a car or using a phone, which are things that like are pretty necessary for functioning in modern life, right? If I didn't have a phone or a computer or use cars or vehicles ever, yeah, I would maybe be causing less harm by not buying those or using those products, sure. But the amount but I wouldn't, first of all, for myself, I wouldn't be able to properly function in society, right? I wouldn't be able to like know about a job interview or like be able to get to the job or, feed myself and stuff like this, But as an activist, I use my phone and my computer and my car for really good purposes, right? So driving to a protest, right? Or using my computer for what I'm doing right now, which is educating and motivating people to think about animal rights and the environment and our health and stuff like this. And so I think that we can, an argument could be made that yes, we're still causing some amount of harm. I agree, but we're trying to minimize the amount of harm we cause as much as is reasonable for us to have a good life and be productive members of society who help the world. So compare that compare that to just needlessly paying people to stab cows and pigs and chickens so that we can eat their dead bodies just because we get taste pleasure from it, and we do that 3 times a day. Right, like I buy a computer or a phone like once every 3 years, right? So whereas you were buying meat, dairy, and eggs, like eating them like 3 times a day, and it's causing extreme harm and deliberate, taking of life. And so I just think those are not comparable because we could eat delicious, nutritious vegan food instead of killing all those animals. My goals as far as morality is concerned in general is to maximize well-being and minimize suffering for all sentient beings, whether they're humans or animals, as much as I can, and knowing that I can't be perfect in the process, and try to respect individual rights at the same time as respecting the group's rights, again, as much as possible. These things, all this stuff is going to come into conflict at some points, but as a broad general statement, just don't kill anybody. If you don't need to, it doesn't matter that they were born into a different body than us. I see it as a form of discrimination, like racism or sexism or ableism. We call it speciesism, right? Discrimination based on what species somebody's born into. So if we say that it's wrong to kill a dog but fine to kill a pig, that would be speciesism. Or if we say humans matter but animals don't, that would be speciesism also, because again, nobody gets to choose what body they're born into, and there's nothing wrong with being different. So we should just be nice to everybody, regardless of our differences, because our similarities outweigh our differences. When it comes to ethics, we all have a brain and a nervous system. All humans and animals, and humans are animals. We all feel pain and pleasure, and we want to live. And we've got friends and families and lives that matter to us, right? And for somebody to kill us, even if it's quick and painless, which usually it's not, right? These animals are usually tortured before they're killed, and they know they're about to die. They hear the screams of their friends. They smell the blood. They hear these big clanking machines, and then their little heads are cut off. These are babies and their mothers, and they did nothing wrong to us.
All right, so I noticed how earlier you brought up my argument and you called it a Nirvana fallacy. One thing, I don't think it's a Nirvana fallacy at all, because it's not unrealistic to not drive a car or use a phone.
You have the right to survive, to defend yourself, and to have a decent, good quality life. But when we start needlessly killing for pleasure that could be easily avoided, that's different than something that's very much more necessary for our survival and for our helping the world, like phones and cars.
Okay, Chase, I have a question. So, what exactly do you here? I'll put it like this: can you define need? What do you define as need?
Okay, so need, I would say, for your survival, for your health, for your mental well-being, for your ability to contribute to society, stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, so do you define, I'll put it like this: do you think that if you need something that you would 100% die without it?
No, but you could have a very deteriorated quality of life.
Oh, okay. Well then, going by that definition of need, I need animal products because my quality of life would go down if I didn't have eggs or milk or anything like that.
Okay, so I think you might be overestimating your reliance on those products. You realize you don't need these things and that your quality of life actually improves because you're no longer needlessly slaughtering animals. You're no longer contributing to environmental destruction in that way, and you're doing something better for your own health. And the food the food is delicious.
Well, no, because going by your definition, which is quality of life and stuff, I mean, eating animal products improves my quality of life. So okay. I'm justified
Okay, so there could be a threshold. Let's talk about a threshold. Okay, so I'm talking about a significant drop in quality of life, such to where you can't like travel across town easily because you can't get into a motor vehicle of any kind, right? You have to walk across town, so it's going to take you like the whole day as opposed to a half hour, right? So that, or with the phones and computers, you're never going to be able to like go to college or find out if there's a job available, or like that never be able to like talk to your friends and family over the phone. Like that's way too big of an ask, as opposed to you just eating a vegan burger instead of a burger made out of a murdered animal. We know that humans are going to be killed through our use of transportation, and yet we all collectively feel like it's still worth it, right?
That's subjective. It's not objective.
Okay.
And then we
Either way, like I'm not really concerned of whether it's objective or subjective.
Well,
Either way, I think we have good reasons for having these beliefs.
I don't care about your reasons.
Well, I care about your reasons.
No, I don't. Yes, and you have no right to care about my reasons.
Oh yeah.
Because they are my reasons. They are subjective to me.
But if you're using bad, if somebody is using bad reasons,
just a minute. I am just a minute. I am justifying my choices based on my own personal subjective assessment of my wants, needs, and desires. You have no right to tell me what I ought to want, need, or desire.
Okay. But
that
if you
that would be the
but look,
basis of my argument against what you're saying.
Okay.
Is that if you had an objective measure of wants, needs, and desires, then you could say something about it, but you don't. It's subjective. Therefore, you have no right to dictate to me what I ought to do.
Okay, can I respond to that, please? Can I respond to that, please? Okay, so we view this in the same way as like child abuse, right? So like we think that even if it's a subjective viewpoint that most of society has, or whether it's an objective moral truth about the universe, either way, we believe that because we have solid science that shows that children are sentient beings with a brain and a nervous system who don't want to be beaten or killed, that we should have laws protecting them from needless cruelty, right? And so we realize, in the same way, analogously, with animals like cows and pigs and chickens and whatever, they also are sentient, have a brain and a nervous system, feel pain and pleasure, value their lives, do not want to die. So we think that they should be. Hold on, sorry, I'm almost done. We think that they should also be awarded rights to safety and protection from needless cruelty.
Yeah, well, we have objective measures of child abuse.
What are those?
Harm caused to other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. So that's what we're saying. When we kick a dog, in the same way that when you kick a child, someone is being harmed. Same with when you kick a pig.
No, someone is not being harmed when you kick a dog.
Wait, aren't they? The dog is.
A dog is not a someone.
Well, I mean, that's that's semantic.
The dog is not a person.
I think okay. So I would argue that animals are people in the same way that like humans are animals. We're mammals. So I would say that animals are people. They're just not human people. They're just hold on. Let me wait. Hold on. You can respond as soon as I'm done. Thanks. Animals are people. They're just not human people. Okay, they are conscious individuals who care how they're treated. Sentient beings with a brain and nervous system. These are babies and their mothers, and we cut their heads off for our own taste buds.
These things don't follow. It doesn't follow from the fact that people are animals. Therefore, animals are people. That's affirming the consequence.
Nope. Because I'm not saying that animals are humans. No.
You are not.
I'm not saying that animals are humans. I'm saying animals are people.
There is a difference between people and humans.
Yes.
Yes. And the fact that people are animals, it does not follow that animals are people.
No, humans are animals, and all animals are people.
That is false.
In any case,
illogical conclusion.
In any case, well, we can. It doesn't really matter. We can throw that off to the side.
It matters because you are not justified in reaching your conclusion.
Okay,
from
well,
your claim.
that's not the main thing I want to talk about in any case, but I think we made a
But
good argument for our
I
point.
am not obligated to obey irrational belief.
Okay, so imagine that animals aren't actually persons, they aren't someone. You think they're just objects, like inanimate objects that don't care how they're treated?
No, I don't think they're inanimate objects. That is another fallacy. That would be a sweeping generalization. That
It was
would
a
be a
question.
black and white kind of fallacy.
It was a question.
The fact that animals are not people, it doesn't follow that they are inanimate objects either.
Okay, fine.
They are animals, and we could attach limited or conditional importance to people. So to animals, so I could say that animals have some rights, but not all rights.
Sure.
And some animals have some rights, but not all animals have all rights.
Why
I
not,
don't
instead of
think-
talking about
I don't
animals
think
and
that-
humans, just
I
talk
don't-
about the values that are shared? That's
I
what
don't
have to talk about.
I don't
Yeah.
think that roundworms have any rights. I think dogs have a right not to be abused, but I don't care at all about roundworms.
People in third world countries eat dogs, like Vietnam. And
Right? So the point is, I can have a scale of importance attached to other animals. I don't have to equate all sentient life
Sure.
with humans.
I'm not saying you do. You can value humans more than you value animals. You can value some animals more than other animals. I think
humans
so.
are horrible.
Sorry. Yeah. Humans are the ones destroying the environment and stuff.
Humans
and,
are horrible.
But in any case,
I value.
but hold on just one second. The point I was trying to make was that we're not saying you have to value a pig as much as you value a human. We're just asking that you value a pig more than a sandwich, more than your taste buds.
I do
I value a
pigs.
pig a lot more than these anti-vaxxers and these horrible people. I value a pig a lot more than them.
Pigs make delicious bacon, so I value pigs a great deal.
Yeah, that's not what we mean
Have
by
you-
value. No, by
Right.
value we mean
That's what
respect.
I-
No, we mean
Have you
morally.
tried human
Hold
living?
on. We mean morally consider. We mean value in a
those are-
moral sense.
That's the point of my bringing up before, that these values are subjective.
Yeah.
Your
So you.
values
Yeah.
are
So
not
okay.
my
But
values. I
if
could-
look.
and
But
you
if
don't have a right
no
to tell me what my values ought to be.
no because
I value pigs because they make delicious bacon.
okay.
You
But my
accept
response to that.
because
Okay.
your subjective
Okay. I
values,
understand.
Those aren't my values.
I understand, but my response to that would be that if a child abuser were to tell you, hey, you can't tell me not to abuse children, that's just your perspective. I've got my own subjective opinion about beating children, and it's fine with me, so don't force your opinions on me. But you wouldn't accept that. You would say, no, there's a victim involved. It doesn't matter what your personal preference is, Mr. Child Abuser.
Yeah, well, there are differences, and the point I could make is that there are other people who have come together and we have decided. So rights and things like that do not exist. Rights don't.
Well, we're
exist.
destroying
Nobody
our
has
planet,
rights.
the entire planet. I'm
Just
not
a
even on the
minute.
animal scale.
I was in the middle of saying something, so try not to interrupt me.
All right, I'm heading off, guys. It was listening.
Rights don't exist. Rights are things that we create and confer to each other. So the child abuser does not have the right to abuse children because we have decided that we will not permit them. And
Yeah,
so
I think
we've
that's where the
written into
contention
law.
is, though. Right. I think that's what the discussion is about, though, right? And we're sitting here talking about you can't tell a child abuser, they're wrong. But how do we ever change a law
Exactly.
if we can't reconfer
Yeah.
on a particular subject?
Yeah, and so
That's
like
something we don't
for
have.
yeah, and
Basically,
for
we
so
come-
like for
we come
example,
together-
like if we
come
go
together
sorry,
and we reason,
like if
we
we
reason about these things.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
But just
we're
because something was agreed upon in the past and was legal doesn't mean it was ever moral or that we should have defended it, like slavery or the
Moral
oppression of
don't
women,
exist.
the oppression of gays, whatever it may be. It was legal and normal and socially accepted, but it was still harmful to innocent victims, and so we overturned it.
I think there needs to be a solution. I agree and disagree with both sides. I'm not a vegan, but I think there needs to be some sort of solution to decrease the amount of animals being spilled and or dropped into a grinder.
Well, how about none?
I
How
don't
about
think
why
that's-
not
I
no
don't think
animals
that's-
being dropped into a grinder?
Well, then you have
I'm not a vegan, but I also don't agree with the amount of horrible animal cruelty.
Yeah, so let's
I
outlaw.
don't know how much animal cruelty is out there, but
I do. So because I've
well,
been.
you think you do.
Well,
but you
well,
have
no,
a
my friend.
huge
Like, I don't
scale.
know. No, hold on. Let me just give you my credentials. Like, I don't know if you've thought about this issue too much, but I've been involved in the animal rights movement for 12 years. I've been vegan for 12 years. I've written speeches, been to 300 protests, and been arrested for the cause. Rescued animals from slaughterhouses, all kinds of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what the difference is between a human and an animal that says that we should protect one with laws and stab the other for our taste buds.
Oh well, because there's differences.
Tell me what they are.
There are differences in levels of awareness, levels, many different differences. I don't think a roundworm is the same as a gorilla.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
Gorillas are conscious. They are aware. They're intelligent animals.
Okay.
Aware of their environment. A roundworm has maybe several hundred neurons and is simply an animal that has no consciousness to speak of.
Okay.
And whether it can feel pain or not is irrelevant.
Okay,
Pigs can feel pain.
Yeah, we're not really talking so much about worms right now because, like, we can.
That was kind of a straw man.
Yeah, we
No,
can. No, it's not. I mean, like, look. They are animals,
All right,
and
one at a time.
we do need to consider whether or not worms deserve, moral consideration. I would argue that they do because the evidence seems to be indicating that they are sentient. But let's put that off to the side really quick because that's not really what we're here to talk.
What does
We're not
sentient mean?
sentient.
I don't.
Yeah, so sentient means that you're able to have a subjective experience of the world as a result of having like a brain and nervous system and stuff. So you're conscious. Okay.
Are fungi sentient?
According to the scientists, no, plants are not, but all animals.
They're intelligent, though. Fungi are intelligent.
Okay, so they communicate and they respond to stimuli. They are living. They are living organisms. But I can post.
Fungi can solve problems.
Well, look. Okay, we can talk about plant rights if you want, but I feel like we're getting off topic. We were on something else a second ago. I can post. I'll post.
Yeah. Sentience, and I'm bringing up an example.
Okay.
I'm bringing up an example that challenges.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Well, what I'll do.
You let Ethernet talk.
Okay.
It's fine. I just wanted to bring up a point that probably animals that are at the lower end of sentience would be like a sponge or a coral.
Sure.
So that's probably what Chase you're referring to, right?
Yeah. But where's the dividing line?
Yeah, I can explain that.
Isn't that going to be arbitrary?
No.
And if I draw that dividing line at a different place for different reasons,
we need to have.
Yeah.
No, what we're saying is
why should I accept your dividing line? I have a different dividing line.
Yes, I understand, but what we need to do so is to make sure we're not being unnecessarily discriminatory against innocent individuals who had no choice in how they were born, and we don't want to cause them needless suffering, right? Because we're trying to hold on. Then we need to evaluate this stuff.
Yeah, I really object to your anthropomorphizing of animals as if they're just people in animal suits. They're not.
Okay, so I already said, and if you
animals killing each other is part of the food chain, so I think it's acceptable up to a certain level.
Oh my god. Okay, look, we can't. We got to stay on topic and
that's on topic.
No.
Yeah.
We were talking about plants, and now other animals kill other animals.
Let's talk about veganism and animal rights. That is the topic.
Okay.
Can I wind us back real quick, guys? Folks, can I wind us back a little bit? And I just want to take Chase on a quick line of questioning. It's 2 questions.
Okay.
And I want to let Bean up for some questions. They've been waiting patiently. So one question I have is what do you think what do you think the reason is for vegans focusing on diet
Because,
as like sort of the paramount indicator of morality here?
sure, because that's where most of the animal suffering and death occurs. Like 70 billion land animals are raised, fed, and killed every year across the world. That's 10 times the human population for food that we don't need to eat. And that doesn't include fish, which is like 2.5 trillion fish every year. So there's that, and they are horrifically abused, and like everybody's participating in this, and nobody sees it as a problem. And the animals are so far.
Yeah.
Do you? Oh, sorry. I'll go ahead and have your question. I have one follow-up.
Well, I kind of object to he uses a lot of emotionally triggering language in order to prejudice the listener.
It's okay.
In addition to anthropomorphizing and emotional tags.
Yeah, we
language.
can wade through it.
They're all designed to make an emotional appeal rather than there's no actual reasoning.
So what if you were to discover that your other discretionary spending actually contributed more so to the factory farming infrastructure and the death to all animals? For instance, fueling your vehicle, paying the gas stations, and they are consumers of meat, or going to your dentist who is a carnist, or
that's inevitable.
Well, not really, but feel free to have some sort of response. I don't know what you would say to that. Like,
I guess if I were convinced that me, having a phone, a computer, and a car caused more harm to the world than the amount of good that I'm able to bring to the world, I would reevaluate. But at the same time, I would also say that, like, we have the right to have a happy life. And so again, yes, we are drawing a line somewhere of where we're saying, look, like, if you didn't have a car or a phone or a computer, and you weren't able to like entertain yourself, or communicate with the outside world or leave your home, basically, right? Then, that would just, you would be not causing as much harm. I agree. But in the whole net of it all, I think we're contributing more good than the amount of harm we're causing. And even still, right now, like, we're in the beginning of a movement, right? And so even if that were the case, like, we're planting seeds and paving the path for a future where, we have new laws and stuff where there's better animal rights legislation, better rights for humans, and better environmental standards and stuff like this. So.
The last thing I'll say before I turn it back over to everybody is that I think the fuzziness of whether or not you'd give up your car, phone, and the right to leave your house would definitely change if, say, you were proposed with, a hostage situation with a loved one where they had a gun to, your parents' head, or if you knew that if you took an action, you got rid of your cell phone, it would cure your sister's cancer or something like that. But and that's the line that we're probably looking to draw, is like, where do we value animals? Anyway, turn it back over to everybody else. So.
Well, I feel like the point you made, either, that was kind of inevitable. You pay taxes, which inevitably go back into the consumer pain of.
Right.
You can be entirely consistent as a vegan and drive a car and buy bread and everything like that. When I buy bread, for example, even though I know some mice and some rodents and some insects have probably been killed in the production of that bread, I know that if I decided to buy a steak, for example, more bread would have been used, more grains would have been used to feed the cow, and then the cow would have been killed in horrendously worse ways than the animals would have been killed. So not only is it more death in the steak, but it's more cruel death in the steak.
Before you gentlemen continue, I want to thank Chase and Ethernet for coming by and helping me keep this stage maintained while I went to go handle some business. I appreciate that very much. You gentlemen may continue.
Cool, for sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, if you could prove that buying one brand of bread is going to give money to people who are going to buy 10 steaks a night, then obviously I'm going to buy a different brand of bread. it's a little bit of a butterfly effect, which we can't really foresee. Like, I have no idea where my money is going ultimately when I go and buy food.
I perceive that this is something of a vegan echo chamber. So I'm going to push back.
I'm not vegan.
And give my best arguments for the opposite case.
That's fine.
And my arguments are typically conceptual. They're not empirical. They're conceptual. And exploring, it interests me to explore, and because some of these things I don't know. I don't know the answers that vegans have to a lot of questions. I don't know and not just veganism. We've had other discussions here, and so I that is where I'm coming from. It is a point of pushing back, and if that makes people uncomfortable, they should take stock and grow up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, this is
how.
It's if you're referring to me removing you from the stage, I'm on yours. I'm not a vegan, first of all, so I'm on your side. It's just you were repeating the same contention over and over, and there was other people trying to talk. So I
heard.
Okay. That's your take. So I'll let you go. That's fine.
So how does vegans account for the fact that there are animals in your food, in your bread, in your vegetables?
Do you mean what we were talking about with how some like small insects and rodents might get killed in the harvesting of plant foods?
I think I responded to that a bit earlier, quite at length as well.
I might not have been here.
Okay.
But
okay.
It seems to me that there's a huge amount of life around us that we're not aware of, and the category of animal goes from very small, microscopic animals to very large animals. And if you're just going to make a categorical claim that animal suffering should be eliminated, then you logically must include the very small animals in your calculation.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying, though.
You're not making that, and that strikes me as hypocritical.
But that's not the claim we're making. Let me respond. That's not the claim we're making. Okay, so we're not saying categorically you shouldn't kill animals. We're saying you shouldn't kill animals unnecessarily if it can be easily avoided and there's alternatives we can create or that already exist. So yes, we understand that vegans are not perfect and we do contribute to some amount of harm and death of humans and animals. And we find that sad and unfortunate. And so we're trying to overthrow those unjust systems and reform them so that there are no casualties, right? So, for example, first of all, we know that because it takes 16 pounds of plants to make 1 pound of beef, that in our current system, the best thing we can do right away to save as many animal lives as possible is to stop eating animals and just eat plants directly, because the animals that meat eaters eat were fed with way more plants than what vegans eat. So we're saving like 16 times as much land, right? So and that's just for cattle. So, but also taking that further is we're trying to these things already exist, but we're trying to expand them. Vertical farms, which are indoor farms like a skyscraper building going up instead of sideways like a regular farm taking up a bunch of land, right? So these skyscrapers have plants stacked on top of each other in this hydroponic or aeroponic system, which, by the way, saves 95% less water than traditional plant agriculture, but also because it's a sealed, controlled environment indoors, no insects can get inside to get onto the plants, and neither can any rodents. So that's a way that's already in existence, and we're trying to spread that across the world, and those vertical farms can be built in the desert, any kind of soil, because it's indoor, right? And it's better for the environment and things like this. So those are things we're striving for. But in the meantime, we have to eat plants in order to survive, because there's essential vitamins and nutrients that we need from plants. But we don't have to eat animals in order to survive.
Well, most people do.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
That's okay. Nobody's discussing... Hi, Bean. How's it going, by the way? Nobody's discussing diet And I think your diet needs to be accounted first. As a creature of the planet, you're going to have to probably eat other creatures as an omnivore. Now, could you get away with something like a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet? Sure. But nobody's talking about how they need to go talk to a nutritionist about what is best for you. And if what is best for you is not an all plant-based diet, then you probably shouldn't be on some, hold on, let me finish. You probably shouldn't be on some altruistic kind of event here to say, well, listen, I don't want to kill any creatures, so therefore I'm not going to eat any creatures. When you can lead yourself down a road of leaky gut, massive depression, cancer-causing issues, there's so many things that can go wrong with a vegan diet. And the first thing that I should advocate, that I tell people to advocate for, is go talk to a nutritionist and see if your agenda is actually going to match your health.
Okay, cool. So the response to that would be...
That's what I did.
Yeah. So the response to that would be that we have the confirmation of hundreds of thousands of dietitians. So I just posted from PubMed and Stage 2 Chatter. So here's a bunch of vegan athletes, and the text says, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is the world's largest organization of food and nutrition experts with 100,000 registered dietitians, and their position is that an appropriately planned vegan diet is healthy, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits for the prevention and treatment of certain diseases such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, certain types of cancer, and obesity. These nutrition experts confirm that a vegan diet is appropriate for all stages of the life cycle, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, older adulthood, and for athletes. And this is this is also supported by the dietitians of Canada, of Britain, of Australia, the USDA, the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Medical School, British Dietetic Association, etc.
If you give your child
I've also
vegan
spoken
diet,
to...
you're guilty of child abuse.
And additionally, most of those studies point towards pescatarianism being probably one of the healthiest diets for humans, because that's typically how we evolved, was through pescatarianism.
Well, we have data. We have data that shows the opposite. I can send those studies as well. But even if that were the case, all we need to provide is that a vegan diet is nutritionally adequate, and it even, like I said, prevents and reverses, can or at least prevent and reverse heart disease, which is the number one killer of humans because of dietary cholesterol from eating animal products.
Sure, and I can agree to some of that, and there is an overindulgence, I think, of animal products on some level. But if we do get to the point of, hey, not everybody can be vegan, okay, that's just a fact. Not everybody's gut, not everybody's health is going to support a vegan diet.
No,
so
you need to support
that. You're going to
that.
look at somebody and say, oh, they ate a little bit of meat, so now we have to make sure that they're harangued, or we have to put them through some sort of issue, when it should be a personal choice for everybody. And if it is truly a personal choice for everybody and their health, at what point are you going to just start saying, well, nobody should eat meat?
Well,
because it's
Grim,
a personal choice.
Grim, but the problem is, though, Grim, is hold on. Let me wait. Let me respond to that, and then you can say something. The problem, Grim, is that I just backed up my claims that a vegan diet is nutritionally adequate for everyone for all stages of life, and I used scientific sources to do so. But you're making claims without substantiating them with any science. You're making claims that we can't be healthy on a vegan diet, but we can, and I substantiated that.
If you put your child on a vegan diet, that's child abuse.
Back that up.
Parents have been convicted of child abuse.
Okay,
so their children because the children were malnourished.
So parents, meat-eating parents, have also been arrested for malnutrition of their children because they were feeding them a meat-based diet. It doesn't matter what diet they're eating. It's more, well, it does, but it's more important of, like, are they getting enough calories? Are they eating a well-balanced diet? So you can eat nothing but Oreos and cabbage, and that's a vegan diet, but that's not going to be, that's not healthy, you know what I mean? So, and similarly, if you give your kid only chicken nuggets, they're not going to be healthy. There's no law against feeding your children a vegan diet, so why would you get arrested for child abuse? Like, you guys are just making claims without substantiating them.
Because children have nutritional needs.
Like what? Like what? What nutritional needs?
That can't be met by veganism.
According to what? Like, back up your claim.
What
Nutrients?
Is consumption of. Well, the only one I'm aware of that I'd be curious to hear is what's the replacement for the whole milk that you're supposed to be feeding your kid from, when is it? I think like a year to a year and a half. I
No,
think it is.
no. So like a baby, like we have no dietary need to consume the breast milk of any other species or our own species past infancy. So we wean off
No,
of.
I'm asking what the replacement is because we've had a number of pediatricians repeat the same. That's what was the directive was for our kids. Was
Well, yeah.
I think I'm just wondering what the alternative is. That's all.
Sure. I don't have any kids. I don't specialize in that, but you could do a Google search for, vegan milk replacer for toddlers or whatever, or for babies, or, but yeah, we got oat milk,
Yeah.
right? And it would be some kind of like baby formula that's just formulated with a plant milk instead of a cow's milk.
Let's just say that some people need to eat animal products. That only gets you to a small number of people who should be having animal products. That doesn't get you to, that justifies slaughterhouses, that justifies raping cows, that justifies, it only gets you to a small number of people.
Those emotionally charged words that you use like that are really,
right.
Accurate.
I take great offense.
Okay, well,
I take great offense to using emotionally charged words like that in order to manipulate the audience.
It's not to manipulate.
Just to be clear, I'm just using the word rape to mean unconsenting sexual penetration. Like, that's all I mean by the word.
Are you aware of the many sexual behaviors in the animal world writ large? Holy crap! It's nothing but rape.
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
Can I jump on real quick?
I know, but
about this. So animals rape each other, and that's messed up. And they don't know any better, though, right? They're not as smart as us, so they can't conceptualize. Hold on, sorry.
That's how they're
right. I know. I agree. That's
exactly.
why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying. Look, a lion would do all kinds of terrible things, would rape or would kill a human child if given the opportunity. But that doesn't make it okay for us to do that, right? So just because it happens in nature doesn't mean it's okay for us to do. But the way to create like dairy products, for example, I tagged you in Ellen in stage 2 chatter about 2 minutes ago or so, a 5-minute video on YouTube that has 6 million views called "Dairy is Scary," and you'll see what we're talking about. So cows to make milk. Cows, first what the farmer does is he ties up the male bull and masturbates the bull to extract semen from him, right? And the bull can't get away, and he's struggling, he's not comfortable. And then the farmer restrains the female cow, and she's trying to get away, and she's not comfortable. The farmer inserts his entire arm with a big glove all the way up to his shoulder into her anus to then manipulate the cervix. No, I'm sorry, let me finish. And you can watch the evidence if you like, but he fully anally penetrates her with his whole arm to manipulate the cervix, to then introduce, he takes a metal pole that's like 3 feet long and inserts that into her vagina with his other hand, and on the end of that pole is the bull sperm that he releases into her vagina, and then she gets pregnant for 9 months, and just like a human, and then on the day of their birth, her baby is taken away and put into a veal crate, and the mother is crying out in the distance over the loss of her stolen child, crying, yelling for weeks. Okay, so this is rape.
You're really accustomed to using these emotionally charged words.
It's sad. Of course it's emotional. It's sad. We're talking about animal cruelty. Hold on. We're talking about animal cruelty.
You can't do that.
If it was happening to a human, we would use emotionally charged language too.
It's different. You have to separate the two.
Why?
If you don't separate the two, then you're gonna have issues with the way that you quantify and value life. But you can't just walk outside and expect not to step on a bug.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's a straw man.
But you are in some cases.
No. For example,
if I said to you that the insemination process, right, negated so many problems that you currently have with these things, or that we could do things better in a different way and not so archaic as we currently are, then maybe you won't have a problem with it. But there's a lot of ways to address it. The point is address it in different ways to change the environment.
Okay, so let me respond. Wait. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
I want to respond to you really quick before I stop. Hold on, and then you can respond. I posted in chat another medical journal right there that strictly shows, right, that veganism does reduce, right, issues when it comes to things like high cholesterol and diabetes. However, it does cause other issues like malnutrition, total stroke, things like leaky gut, like I was saying earlier. So you can have a lot of issues turning to veganism. And once again, nutrition and your own diet needs to be the focal point, not emotion. Emotion comes second.
Okay, hold on.
You need to focus on your
Okay,
diet.
so I need to respond. I need to respond. Okay, so we were talking about rape. Okay, not health. So we can talk about both, but I wanted to stay on topic for a second because these animals are sexually assaulted. Okay, that's what I want to make clear. And if we were doing that for an unnecessary purpose towards humans, and to say, oh, we can do this to animals because they're not humans, that's simply speciesism. And I want to know what the difference is between humans and animals that justifies legal protection for humans, but the needless rape and stabbing of animals.
Do we need consent from animals?
I can answer that, no problem.
Do we need consent from animals to perform any other medical procedures on them?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so this isn't right. So that's like saying, okay, so the animals do not consent to, being forcibly inseminated, but the animals also don't consent to having their broken leg fixed, right? But obviously there's a huge difference.
I don't think that there is a universe in which your ideal world could be realized.
That doesn't mean we can't make drastic improvements. And they also used to say the same thing about. They also used to say the same thing about other social justice movements. Oh, women will never get the right to vote. Gays will never be allowed to marry. Right? The slavery will never be abolished. There's too much money to be made from it. Right? But as far as what Grim was saying earlier about, well, we can't expect to not walk outside and crush an insect. Yeah, I know that. Like when I'm walking the dogs, just walking across the yard, I'm unfortunately accidentally stepping on insects, and I wish I didn't have to live in a world that operated like that, but unfortunately that's the reality of me surviving. But hold on. But just because I accidentally, unintentionally, and unavoidably kill insects by walking across the yard, that does not give me the right to pay someone to rape or stab a cow when I don't need to. I don't need milk.
I want to point out one thing here and maybe come back a little towards your side. I'm pushing back, but I want to say that I am in favor of most people having a greater plant-based diet, having considerably less meat. Probably a Mediterranean diet would be ideal for most people on Earth. I think that farms and other institutions where we grow or raise cattle and raise other animals for food could be done in a much better way in which the animals are treated much better. I agree with that. I think that there are many, I think that primates that are used should be, I think that there should actually be written into law certain limited rights given to primates, higher cetaceans, certain other animals. So I think that there's like a
just did the octopus.
Yeah, I think octopuses are octopi.
It's octopuses, actually. Yeah.
Really?
What?
So I think that they're incredibly intelligent animals. There is probably a mind in there that thinks, feels, and observes its world. They should be treated humanely, and that should be
cool.
A law thing. But
I'm surprised.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think that you're starting on the wrong end. You should push for those things, and if you push for too extreme, you're going to get too much pushback.
Look, what I want to talk about is that pigs are as smart as 3-year-old children. Okay, and there are humans with mental disabilities who are only as smart as a 3-year-old or a pig. There are elderly people with dementia who are not able to contribute to society in any meaningful way, just in the same way that a child or a mentally impaired or a pig can do, right? So I don't see why we use this ableist justification to kill animals, because that's what meat eaters say, is like the reason it's okay to kill animals is because they're not as smart as us. But it doesn't matter how smart somebody is. What matters is they feel pain and pleasure and they want to live.
Sure. Well, let me ask you a question. Suppose there's a burning building, and you go into the building, and inside there's a there's a box full of puppies, and next to the box full of puppies is a human child. There are 25 puppies in the box. It's one child. Do you rescue 25 puppies, or do you save the child?
Okay, good question. So I think a case could be made either way, but you can still rescue the human and let the 25 puppies die and still be considered a vegan, so long as you don't needlessly kill animals for pleasure.
That's species.
So this, okay,
No,
so
I was. Hold on,
you can make.
Hold on. Look,
You could pick,
we're not saying. Wait.
yeah.
Hold on. We're not saying. I already said this earlier. Maybe you weren't here, but you don't have to think that humans and animals are equal in all senses, and that you have to value them all equally. You can think, and probably rightly so, that a human, generally speaking, is more valuable than an ant. Okay, or more valuable than a pig. That's fine. But though there are, people like Hitler who I would give preferential. I would give preferential treatment to an ant or a pig or a puppy in comparison to Hitler. And there's a lot of bad people out there. So just because you're human doesn't make you awesome. But generally speaking, you can value a human more than you value a pig. But we're just saying that doesn't mean that you should kill the pig needlessly. So this situation of us running into a burning building, it's a good hypothetical to see where we might stand in such an extreme example, and maybe I'd be more willing, utilitarian-wise, to save the puppies over the one human, because there's 25 puppies, right? But the human also, but there's okay. Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can evaluate which one we should, which group we should save, but that's like this weird situation where your back's up against the wall and you got to make one out of two terrible decisions, right? You got to let somebody die, right? Yeah. But what we're talking about right now is, hold on, let me just finish. I'm almost done. But we're not talking about that when you go to the grocery store or a restaurant. You can just move your hand to the left 3 inches and buy something else that doesn't involve animal cruelty.
Well, if non-animal products were easily available to me and affordable to me, I wouldn't care. But okay. I wouldn't choose them. I wouldn't choose them for ethical or moral reasons. I would simply choose them for personal reasons like either taste or affordability.
To Chase's point earlier, there's pragmatic limitations.
When we talk about speciesism, instead of thinking it as like analogous to racism in all ways, like there's some similarities, but there's some differences also, right? Because like the differences between a black person and a white person are really negligible. Like it's really just a matter of the color of their skin. There's no intellectual differences or anything like that. No contribution to society differences, stuff like that. Whereas if you look at an insect versus a pig, the pig is much more sentient, more aware, more able to suffer in a lot of different ways. It's going to live much longer than the ant, stuff like that, right? But if we compare like a dog and a pig, they are very similar, right? And that's what we're talking about, like in racism sense, dog and pig, very similar. They should be treated equally, right? Pigs are actually smarter than dogs. But look at like speciesism maybe more through an angle of like ableism, right? So in an ableist situation, we're that like between two humans, right? One is only as smart as a pig, but the other human is like us, right? Normal functioning. Okay, so in a situation like that, we're gonna discriminate against or be ableist to some degree in the sense of like, well, look, sorry to this ableist person, but they can't work for this specific job because they're not able to fulfill the requirements of that job. But just because they're not able to do that doesn't give us the right to stab them, right, or anything like that. And so we give them legal protections under the law. But if you were in one of those weird hypotheticals where like you're burning building and there's two people in there, one of them is mentally disabled such to the point that they're only as smart as a pig, versus another human who's in there who's a normal functioning human, you might still prioritize the normal functioning human and save them and let the mentally disabled person die, simply not because you're trying to be ableist, even though maybe that is ableism, but it's in a do or die situation, and you wouldn't say that just because I'm saving this regular human because they're able to maybe comprehend things and contribute to the world in a more meaningful way than the slower human, that doesn't give you the right, you realize that would give you the right to needlessly stab the mentally disabled human if there's not a fire and you're just doing it because because you want to like get some kind of pleasure out of like eating their dead body or whatever. So we wouldn't use those justifications for humans. So why do we do it for animals? There's no legitimate difference. They all feel pain and pleasure and they want to live. Doesn't matter how smart somebody is. This is ableism and speciesism.
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry for all that.
It's true that humans are an animal. We are all a species. And if an animal eats animals, why can't humans eat animals? It's a source of life.
Sure.
I mean, yes, you can go which way you want. It's veganism. It's really just pressuring people to do what? You could pick the right thing or the other right thing. They're both good choices, but sooner or later, the world, like everything will end up good.
Okay.
So, but it could end up bad if we force people to do things we want them to do.
Okay. Well,
so we could just.
First of all, like I appreciate the questions, and you sound like a nice person. The first thing though is that like we're only forcing it in the same way that like you and every other meat eater is probably forcing people to not kick dogs. Like you support laws that prevent people and punish people for kicking dogs when they don't need to. Like the dog's not attacking anybody or anything, right? Just somebody likes kicking their dog, they get pleasure from it. You would call the cops on them and like fine them or put them in jail or take their dog away so they can't do this anymore, right? And we're just saying the same kind of thing, but for all animals instead of just dogs and cats. We're saying if the same thing with pigs. If you kick a pig, then you're going to be in trouble with the law and you're not going to be able to like look over pigs anymore, right? And it's even worse to kill an animal than to kick an animal, because if you kick an animal, they're going to have a bruise, but they're going to get over it, right? You kick an animal one time. We're all against that, whether it's a dog or a pig, meat eater or vegan. We all think kicking pigs is wrong if we don't need to kick the pig, right? But it's worse to kill them, even if it's a quick and painless death, because that takes away their whole life. Just like with a human, you would have a bruise if you get kicked, but you'll get over it in a day, right? If you get murdered, like shot in the head while you're sleeping or whatever, no pain, no fear, but your whole life is taken away from you, right? All of your friends and family relationships destroyed. Pigs, all these animals enjoy their friends and families. They like a sunny day, playing in a field, and enjoying good food and smelling good air and stuff, basic stuff, just like a child would enjoy. So why would we take that away from them when we don't need to? So we just think that it's worse to kill somebody than to kick them. But we're all against kicking them, so we should be against killing them.
But I appreciate it, and I wanted to repeat again. When I come in here, I am giving pushback.
Sure.
And I hope people take that into account. That I see it as a duty of mine to offer a opposing view, even though. If we actually compared certain things, we would be in agreement with some things. I disagree where there is disagreement, but we would be in agreement with some things.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, cool. And I'll post one video for everybody in Stage 2 Chatter. This is a movie about animal rights on YouTube. It's free. It's got 3 million views, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix, and it's called Dominion.